My name is Robert Smith. I'm a detective with the Rock Hill Police Department. I've been with the Rock Hill Police Department since 2010. Originally, I was a police officer in the military, with the military police, and I served with the United States Army from 1994 to 2004. And after a year in Iraq, decided I wanted to go ahead and get out of the military and do something in the civilian world. With my military police background, it was pretty easy to transition to law enforcement, and I ended up working for the Cincinnati Police Department, Cincinnati, Ohio. And that gave me an opportunity to work for a large agency, about 1,200 officers at the time. So I looked into Charlotte, North Carolina, and knowing big agencies, I thought that's kind of where I would end up. And then I kind of happened across the city of Rock Hill and talked with a recruiter. From there, the process was very fast. The Rock Hill Police Department was very thorough in their background, as extensive and thorough a background as I went through with the Cincinnati Police Department. But they were just really willing to work with me in my circumstances to try to get me into the city and get me down here working. So I came down to Rock Hill, tested, and once I had been here I think I'd been here about 2 weeks, I got an offer from another agency, a larger agency, and I told them, no thanks, I like what I found here. So it's a very family atmosphere. There's something to being able to bump into the chief or the assistant chief in the hallway and have a conversation with them. That's something I didn't have with a larger agency. The opportunity to move around within the agency and do different things, that's a real advantage. One of the great things about Rock Hill that you have as compared to, again, larger agencies and some of the other agencies in our area is just that diversity. The fact that I can have the experience in the years that I do with the department, be a field training officer, teach new field training officers now how to be training officers. I'm a bicycle instructor for the department. I can teach a 40-hour class on how to be a new officer on a bicycle. I can be involved with our training program and work with our in-service when we do our yearly training to teach classes. I'm a defensive tactics instructor with Gracie Survival Tactics as part of my background. So now I can teach the basics of jiu-jitsu to our officers to help minimize the type of force we get into. Being on the K-9 team, being on the crisis negotiator team, being a detective working on homicides and sexual assaults, that kind of thing. That is something you get in a smaller agency that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to do all of that with a larger agency. As a detective, my day-to-day is somewhat routine and somewhat you never know what's going to happen. That's very much true for all law enforcement. But with the detective division, generally I come in, I'm assigned cases, and then those cases are mine to work on. There's a lot of anonymity to it. Obviously I don't have to wear a uniform, so that gives me the ability to dress down, and depending on the circumstances, we might be doing surveillance, we might be working on trying to locate a suspect in a crime, might be doing interviews. It just depends on how the caseload works out. One of the things that was given to me as an opportunity early on in my time with the detective division was the opportunity to go to homicide schools, where you start to learn to process evidence and how to successfully prosecute and solve a homicide. And I've been working on homicides now since late 2019. Working homicides is definitely a challenge. You see the worst of not only the victims' problems, the things that happen to the victim, but you see the worst of what families go through. And sometimes dealing with the suspects, you could have a suspect who is a hardened criminal who is a cold-blooded killer, or you could have a suspect who just happened to find themselves in the wrong situation at the wrong time, and you almost start to look at them and wonder, how did they get here? But you need to be able to bring them in, sit them down, have a conversation, and go from I was never there to, yeah, I committed the crime.